supposed to what?
Yeah, I have to do most all the things. We have to do things.
Nigerian tennis already. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Mr. Secretary, would you please call the time?
7:01.
7:01. Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Brown. I'm the chair of the Grotto for 2021. I'm calling the meeting to order. This is for November 6th, 2021, if I remember correctly. One of our awesome campout meetings. You are all super awesome for being here, and you, Bradley, are super awesome for being there online, along with Bill and Sherry. Welcome. Can you guys hear me? I sure hope.
Yes, we can.
Hello.
Excellent. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with the officer reports real fast. What do we have from the office of the vice chair, Lisa?
I don't have anything to report.
Jill? From the office of the treasurer, we have money in the bank and the bills are paid. Mickey, no, sorry, wrong secretary. Alex, what do we have from the office of the recording secretary?
I mean, nothing really good, but I mean, we had a vertical beginner trip last weekend, or I think it was, and that went really well. So.
Went really well. So we had some new vertical people graduate from that class.
Well, no, I don't mean they did the vertical class, training class, but then they got to use their skills in some other pits. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we got to invite them caving now.
Yeah.
Nikki, what do we have from the office of the corresponding secretary?
We got a bill for the porta potties.
That's going straight to crappy caving.
And a bill for something else, but I sent it to Roger and got to take care of. But that's about it.
Right on. Anna, what do we have from the office of public relations?
We have a work weekend at the NSS headquarters in Huntsville this weekend. If you have a chainsaw and have some free time, come out there and cut some wood. And there's also a presentation that night from two of the men that helped rescue in the Thai cave, that soccer team. On the 21st, there is a Amicalola cleanup in Raquel. I think Chris Hall is organizing that, and he's reaching out to multiple grottos. So if you're interested in that, you can go there. And we have a Christmas party at the old IMO location at Nina and Jeff Martin's house on December 11th. And there'll be camping available, elephant exchange.
White elephant.
White elephant. Tacky Christmas sweater.
Yeah. And there'll be
a big turkey, and we'll bring some dishes to share. And Sunday we'll be doing some caving trips.
Right. It will be a potluck.
Yeah.
So bring something other than meat, and then also the white gift exchange. I think we're doing under $15, and then there'll be an ugly sweater Christmas competition. So we'll have some prize or something for somebody who has the best ugly Christmas sweater. And the caving, yes, we were planning on doing some caving on Sunday, but there is some talk about possibly having a CAB meeting, which is the Caving Advisory Board, on Sunday morning. So it would be a little bit later in the day on Sunday.
And that's all I got.
Excellent. Thanks, Anna and Nikki there. Okay, so as far as the editor is concerned, we are still looking for someone that wants to write for the Grotto, but nevertheless, we of the board are nevertheless discussing a special edition of the Georgia Underground because it's material that we love so much. We think you'll love it too. And as for the chair's report, we will very shortly be publishing the November whole story. That courtesy of Lisa, thank you very much. Usually for the committee reports, we ask if there's a report from the cave-in chair, but she's not here and I don't think she's online either. Okay, we get to announcements. Elections are coming up in January, so I've said many times you should make this your grotto by joining the NSS. And what that means is that you get full membership in the grotto. That gives you the vote. And one thing that you get to vote on is who you want to be an officer from one year to the next. So if you want to vote for your best friend to be an officer, of course you should join the NSS. Make sure you're an NSS member. For that matter, if you want to be an officer, welcome back. Join the NSS. You have to be a full member to run for office. Number 2, don't forget it. Send in your trip stories. We love to publish those because who doesn't like reading about these epic stories? On a more somber note, something happened recently that affected just about all of us. We lost a member of the community suddenly, unexpectedly. His name was Eric Bell. I can't say as I knew him personally, he wasn't a member of this grotto, but he was well beloved across TAG. It was truly tragic. And I think it's appropriate to observe some of the and sometimes this one has. Okay, am I forgetting any other announcements? Does anyone else need to make an announcement?
There's NSS pod meeting coming up December 4th. It's still on virtual mode. Everybody's welcome to join us. And ask questions. The agenda should be coming out soon. It'll be published on this website. If you have any questions about it.
Okay, so BOG meeting, December 4th, virtual, correct?
Yes.
And the details are on the NSS website.
Yes. Blog meeting.
Board of Governors, yeah.
So it's the governing society of the National Geological Society. And I'm the director. I'm on my last term. So after 2 3-year terms. I will say this too, I do hope we find more folks from TAG. I really feel like as big of a region as we are, as many members as we have, we need folks from TAG on the Board of Governors. A lot of folks on other regions, especially out west now, always need a voice from TAG on that board. What do they do? So as a director, you have meetings 3 times a year. One of your meetings is a convention every year. You have a spring meeting and a fall meeting. Hoping to go back to a live setting meeting. One of the best things about it, you have to pay for the expenses yourself for the travel, but there's always favors that you want to post to. There's always a lot of the post meetings. You get to just meet other papers in different parts of the country and find out what's going on in their area, make new friends, bring more people into your family. You have to attend meetings. But the NSS convention itself is just an incredible amount of fun. We're going to have our 2022 convention in South Dakota, which is a phenomenal caving area. If you've never been to South Dakota, it's a beautiful section of the state, and there'll be a lot of cave trips. There's also a lot of scientific presentations, as well as presentations just from people that are just general cavers. You don't have to be a scientist to go and enjoy yourself. Virtual training, rope climbing content, photo salon, banquets, and all included in the But all right, for a governor, for a director, is there any, what's the responsibility? So it's you serve a 3-year term and attend all your meetings. And if you can't attend, then you have to have a box. So it is somewhat of a financial commitment because you have to pay for your okay. So the papers are always those two.
But I mean, what's your actual duty there?
To represent society. So you vote upon the governing laws of the society. That the board right now, we're gonna be discussing like the Harvester Training Commission.
Yeah. Cables with you, right?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for asking all the questions. Because that's the thing to ask. But, it's a very rewarding thing because you represent.
Thank you. And thank you for your service, by the way. Do you have any other?
It's been enjoyable.
So I don't remember that we had any old business. Do we have any new business to order? Christmas party?
No, we talked about it.
Yeah, we already talked
Yeah,
about
we
it.
talked about it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. We're definitely, I don't know, we don't have too many people here, but we are looking for a trip coordinator and an editor and probably another person to run for a board position next year if anybody's interested. It's a small commitment, it's not a huge commitment, but certainly get you involved in the inner workings of the Cape community. Something to think about.
An officer membership in Dogwood City Grotto looks very, very good on a resume, trust me.
Makes all the difference.
Might get you that next job.
We went Carson looking at you.
Yeah, Carson.
You have to be 18.
Yeah, you're about to leave.
Oh, yeah. Dang it. You better than
I heard it goes well.
I'm graduating in May. I'm probably not going to be in the tag region.
Now for one of my favorite parts, the new member introduction. Is this like a first meeting for anybody? First time hanging out with DCG?
Really?
That's what I said.
How did I miss that?
You didn't, you know now.
Oh, no. Does that mean she's official now?
Yes.
I'm official now.
You've been official for a little while.
Yeah,
but
like 2 years.
Interesting. Well, congratulations for coming to your first meeting. Anyway.
Welcome to Dogwood.
We're like, this is our first in person.
First in-person
We were
meeting.
on the Zoom like last month. But I'm Destiny.
Yeah,
Destiny
you are.
Snow,
Yes, you
that's
are.
Yeah, it's Destiny Snow. And this is my husband, Jordan. Not Snow, Overton. He's not Jordan Snow.
Welcome. So, given the fact you guys did join up pretty recently, I don't remember that I read this the last time. So, just going over it to make sure we just kind of spread the tradition around, so to speak. I call it the Caver's Code. Can you keep a secret? I didn't write this, but I will read it to you. We pride ourselves on being on the down low. Cavers don't broadcast these special places on social media to protect them. In other words, we don't broadcast in order to protect them. Caves are special, and if you want to know more about caves, you'll find us like you have. Leave no trace, none. No tobacco in caves, no trash. We don't defecate in caves. Leave only careful footprints, and that means keeping your trip small and being willing to do something else if the cave that you're at is crowded. Most southeastern caves are on someone's private land. Many are closed. More will get closed if we aren't on our best behavior. Always get permission and don't trespass. For that matter, don't yell, don't cuss too loud. Don't get naked where you can be seen. Park out of the way and don't block roads or gates. Cavers do right, and it's important that we live up to that. And that's the Cavers Code. Okay. Now, while Dave and I get set up for the presentation, come on now, who went caving? Oh my.
Literally everybody went caving today, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I know. Somebody's
Always
got to tell.
caving. Are we in the way at all?
Well,
No, I hide. Hey, I just crawled up in that hole.
About what?
You go caving last week? Chris, did you go caving last week?
All right, well, we went caving.
Thank you.
Where'd you
Yeah,
go?
so we went in Blue Springs, which is just right here, and John Zetterberg and Dave led the trip.
Okay,
And
in order to
we
share
went
your
to
screen.
a place called the Jaguar Track via the Bio crawl, right? Yeah. So
2,200 feet.
Okay, so if that's true.
yeah, it's a 2,200 foot crawl, and the crawl itself.
Yeah, we
is
did that the other
not
night. It worked
manageable.
fairly well too, doing that.
It takes a minute to get through, and you're all hot and sweaty, but
Yeah, so none of my credentials is logged in.
All right.
And get your head sideways, but not much standing. But it was it was relatively clean and dry. It wasn't wet at all. It's almost a little dusty, a little bit, if you can imagine that. But you're definitely doing some work. It was fantastic.
Did you look at the ceiling?
what?
Andy, did you look at the ceiling?
Yes, I made it look up. But same place you told me about.
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah.
For those of you online who can't see anything just yet, what we're doing is aiming my webcam at the projector screen, which will soon be lit up.
Right, all kinds of things. All the way just past the sleeping area. With the sleeping area.
Which was a really good impression, because on the way out, I think we were really tempted to think about it on the way in, but we saw the original route.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely like a kind of slopey, muddy ledge that you gotta turn around that canyon, so I'm pretty grateful for the,
It was a traverse line.
yeah, I did see that. But, still
Terrifying. Yeah.
yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that was.
But the Jaguar track is really neat. I definitely recommend it. It's just like big fucking paw prints in mud, and they're not, it's not a fossil. It's literally in mud, and they're like 10,000 years old, and that is such a testament to like the way they preserve and doesn't change. I mean, I hate to put it like this, but it's just insane. Like if you put something behind it there, it's literally gonna stay right. But they're really,
It was impressive. It was weird. We were trying to figure out who the fuck is that big cat get back in there, but apparently the theory is that there was another alternative application that ended up floating down.
What in the world?
No.
Who's on there?
oh, it's a crowd.
Oh,
Yep, and there was another area that actually probably everybody else had. The ship crowd, you guys all had.
Why is this not?
people in front of.
Yeah, we run away.
Oh, okay.
How was the cathedral?
Beautiful.
Tell me that.
What did it look like?
Lots of drops.
No, it's a pretty lot. There's a pit in the middle throughout. It looks like there's the biggest pile of dinosaur poop right in the middle of the room. Everybody's playing around. I'm like, y'all do this.
Webcam's not even on.
I had a lot of really I got some pictures.
There we go.
Now, we did walk through
It's just a white screen.
and we got pretty muddy. We did not have the clean tape.
Matt's still here.
No, I think so.
He's the only one that fell. He went
Yeah.
into the water.
Oh, no.
He tried to carve his own path.
And he's like, hey, it's not, nobody hit me.
Who was Cat? Where's Cat?
I think he's gonna get something.
He went last year with me.
I did.
Maybe John just can tell me. Like for what I remember we went a lot of water and you stayed to the left on the float zone. And then there was like a climb up with a rope. Yep, that's what, okay, that's what y'all did. Did y'all go up the rope?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. And then, and that's what's bigger than back up there.
Yep, and then down the side of the pit.
I remember I was so scared of that rope.
I was not scared at all, but it without any help.
I was like, oh really?
No, we said if we had cave nicknames, mine was going to be Where's Hunter because
Hunter's amazing. I was telling her earlier, like, our Anderson, he was so good, so helpful.
It was Damn It Josh and Where's Hunter.
Wait, which one? Oh, it was Josh.
Everything is Josh's fault. Mud kicker. Mud kicker.
Yeah, we had fun with that. See what?
And Lucas was awesome at like staying behind.
Everybody got a fresh beer?
Me.
You about ready?
Taken care of.
We are ready for the show.
Come on, who wants to watch the movie about Lacey Pot?
I do. I'm ready. Let's hear it.
With
All right.
Anna, actually,
Yep.
you recruited.
Yes, Dave McRea from Birmingham Grotto. He's doing a presentation on the big Lacey pot.
All right. I'm David. I'm been caving probably a little over 20 years, but this started in 2008. The Lacey Pot project did, and it started on a trip to Yellowstone. I had signed up for a trip with the Central Alabama Grotto. You know, we loaded up in a 15-passenger van and drove across country. That's our crew. The majority of us, if you'll notice there, ET is right here, ET Davis. If y'all know him, he's a longtime DCG member, but you know, we'd become friends over the years. You know, I'd done some NCRC stuff at his house. You know, we'd had some training sessions back in 2004, I think, where I became good friends with him, and we'd always just been close through tags and stuff and hanging out together. But he went with us on this trip. At the time, he was dating Myrna, and I guess everybody read your the thing I submitted to the cave-in articles and stuff. Did anybody read that on Lacey Pot? It's a long read, but it's entertaining. If you hadn't read it yet, you should read it, because it kind of lists a few of the funny things that happened on this trip early. But we're traveling across country. You know, when we got to Kansas, you know, ET's asked me if I've ever heard of a Lacey Pot, and of course I've been caving for 10, 12 years, and I'd never heard anybody say anything about Lacey Pot. So I was like, yeah, tell me about it. Let's talk about it, And so for the entire state of Kansas, crossing this state, he tells me all about this cave, and about the time we exit the state, and I said, well, E.T., I got a question. Why have I never heard anything about this cave? And he goes, oh, it's been closed since '83. A rainstorm happened, and nobody's been in there since 1983. But he's telling the story, like it's still open, but I had never heard anything about it. So he piqued my interest on this trip across country on our way to Yellowstone and other places up there while we were on this trip. Of course, it was a long trip. Had a lot of roadside baths, things like that. But this is our quarters, 15-passenger van with a bunch of gear in the back. And of course, a lot of time for ET to talk. So 2008 is when he told me all about that. And I came home super interested in the cave, and I did a lot of research and, dug up the maps and asked people. I've got some photos from some older cavers, that had some pictures of it before it closed up, but I didn't do anything about it until 2012. I had a bunch going on, and we finally made it happen. But this is a nice aerial shot of the Little Coon and Big Coon valleys. Of course, this is your Big Coon Valley over here, and this is the little inlet here where Lacey Pot is located, right here. You can see that sink there very clearly.
And then this is the Little Coon Valley over there. Most all of our access was always from over here. You know, the first time that we ever went in 2012, we parked somewhere in here, up here where on top of the mountain, and walked off the mountain to Lacey Pot, which was a heck of a hike with shovels and buckets and all that. So we eventually found a better way, because those 2 trips we made down the mountain in 2012, we were crossing a 4-wheeler trail. So one of the last trip in, the 3rd trip we did 3 trips in 2012 to dig. But we crossed a 4-wheeler trail right in here, and we eventually just walked it out to see where it goes. And it comes out over here on this road that climbs up the mountain to the WMA property. And so we started parking over here and walking at elevation so that we didn't have to do that hike off the mountain. But it's a long walk. It's about 2 miles, but it comes around through here and then goes way up here and then comes back, goes over here, and then drops off the hill. So it's a good hike to get to Lacey Pot from the parking spot, but it's at elevation. You don't have to have that elevation change, which is great. So folks, kind of give you an idea of what's going on there. Some LiDAR overlay with the way it looks. You see Lacey Pot right there where we're digging. It's not even in the big sink part of the cave. It's right up on the hillside here. Relents a slot uphill. What's question? No, it's you can see it from space. I think that sink is visible from. It's just was closed. You know, he had basically said in '83 a rainstorm had happened, a real big rainstorm, and it dropped a bunch of dirt and sandstone and closed it up, sealed it up, and he was not lying. When we got up there, there was no way in. See some of the other places, but basically the entire hillside. At one time, this was a much larger cave. This whole thing collapsed, but this opened up, and Lacey Pot, some of the big chamber that's down there, basically kind of heads off this direction. But the main trunk of the cave, I think, collapsed. You can kind of see how it did. If you're not familiar with LiDAR, this is the LiDAR imagery that basically you can see through the trees. Show you a lot of the cool stuff. All right, so 2008, I went home and found the map, and I probably made 5 or 6 copies of this. I had it everywhere. Uh-oh. What's that?
Why did it turn on?
No, the battery pack's dead.
Oh, no.
Really? That
Yeah.
fast?
Yeah.
There's a second backup battery or no?
Can we hook up to that thing to charge it?
There's nothing to hook it up. Wait. Let me think here. The only thing I have it takes an AC adapter. Where is my flashlight?
I have a jump pack.
That might help. Wow, that just didn't go very far.
Yeah, it didn't even last like 15.
Those all the projectors use a lot.
That was an expensive piece of equipment too. Hate it when that happens.
Hey, at least it worked for like 30 minutes.
Wait. Oh, the inverter's at my car. I actually have an inverter, but it's way out there. I have an inverter, but it's way back up there, parking. It doesn't have a terribly long cable either.
We're dropping 150%. Turbo, turntable. I don't know.
Imagine that.
I didn't. I forgot to ask you how many watts that thing takes.
You got an extension cord that, I mean,
I got extension cords.
I mean,
To what?
to my Jeep, I've got a road. Plug it in.
We gotta have this inverter, that's the problem.
I have an inverter built in.
You do?
Yeah, all you gotta do is plug it in. Plug a plug in.
Really? That's handy.
I got extension cords. Everybody's got 110 out of their vehicle. Any of these vehicles, like,
That's what mine does. Let me pull it around over here. See how long it'll run.
What's got to plug into?
So that projector just needs to plug into 110.
Yeah. It must have happened at one of them. That's why. My rope at work.
No.
Where is it when they went down? I used both ends of it and dropped down the belly.
For anyone online right now, don't worry, the show's not over just yet. We think we got something. Hang in there.
We got a Jeep with a built-in inverter.
Sounds like it.
There's someone at the car with proper power source. That is a thing.
Yeah, I've got one in the back of the Tacoma, but I'm telling you, like, I couldn't even make a pot of drip copy with it.
But y'all like a 240 volt adapter. No, we just need to get 110 off of somebody's car.
Mine has one in the back, but it's one of the. I think it's from the cigarette lighter. I don't think it's a plug-in for like yeah, it's not one of the.
You here at 9:30?
No, that'll
No. Since a lot of people, so Alex.
only bad thing is it has
A lot of people.
I can talk over that.
30 more minutes. Shoot for 10. It might end up in 10.
And we, Joe, you got the cord for this?
The cord for this?
Or where do you plug into this?
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Or do we just want to go straight into the? We want to just go straight into this.
We could just. Yeah, that could work too.
I lost my headlamp.
I didn't know.
Potentially back to Jeep even up further. So that we don't use
They build upon it. But they make like portable smart jump boxes that, it's like that, but like
I don't know.
4 times
Well, they
big.
respond back.
That'll run you. Like that'll just jump a car off once or twice, I'm guessing, huh?
That thing?
Is that a car jumper?
No, that's not a car jumper.
Never mind. What is that?
This is just a mobile power supply. 250 watt hours.
Is that what we were using?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At least I get bigger one. But yeah, well, yeah. I'll get a bigger one of the last.
I bought that with the grotto projector in mind, and I forgot to inquire
when he talked about that. That's where I went wrong. Wait. Okay. I don't think it's got yet enough use. I want to unplug the brick. The actual, you want to unplug the AC adapter from. What I'm curious about is the possibility that the AC adapter introduces load anyway.
I know there's a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, well, once all this gets burnt down, I'm looking for names talking about this open law.
I'm curious about the possibility that this with a speaker or something that's hooked in. It doesn't use.
And we're gonna put it on once all this burns
There's no
down.
tool there.
No, not yet, not ready, not ready. And Andy also has to work.
Are y'all staying up till 2 a.m.?
Come on, turn on. Got a fan running.
Not intentionally.
We're up. Boom.
Oh. Got it.
Hello, this is Dogwood City Grotto, and as you can see, we are back in business.
I'm watching them.
Oh, that sucks.
What happened?
It was running, and now it's. What else can I do about this?
What did you do different? All I did was open the door.
Yeah, turn it off, turn it back on again.
All right, Dave.
All right, what did you do?
Turn it back on. It's touchy. We're right on the line. That's what's going on.
Okay. When I opened up the door, maybe the light came on and that was enough.
That may have done it.
Okay, Hunter, don't open the door.
Don't get out.
And that's not it.
No, that's not it.
It's just finicky.
It's just that.
Fire, wipe it off.
Maybe mine just maybe pulls too much juice here. Where's the laser pointer? Where's the black marker?
Turning my socks. Turning bacon.
The other side was this one was dry. So yeah, this was nice and dry. Oh, you know what? I almost
No, I got this up. I just plugged the converter into the
Nice to have a snack. I'm glad you mentioned it.
No, we just ate a few hours ago, man. Next time, good enough.
never had a fight.
You got a trip to Caramel M&Ms.
I mean, not officially, but like
No.
probably
So my caramel M&Ms are over here. Facilitate. So then I have to. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the projectors sucking up too
Here's mine coming out of mine.
Yeah, that'll work.
Are you using the new projector now to see?
Yeah, this one's a lower power. This one has lower power requirements, so I'm curious if maybe that'll get us out of this trap.
okay.
Most of the time.
Sorry, Anna. Yeah, I did. I ate one. I had six in the track. There's more people. Or there's I need to get. I rode that thing everywhere. I'm about to buy one real quick.
Come on now.
There's no way I can work and do as much as I do without a soda. Really? You rode a roller, okay. I'm not one. They always bring and really Michael was looking.
That's me with my fish.
Listen, come on.
No, they all bring their own.
Oh, we're taking a weekend trip. I'm having to work.
How do they do that?
On the website, we'll say either new textbooks on the website, so the website will have details. But yeah, people could Facebook. He's just sitting there.
Okay.
I'm trying to get better. There's so many more. You know, if you need a trip on the website, anyone can go on the trip. You know, or whatever. So, there is not have.
Wow.
Yeah.
Us?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a great way. Really.
No, I can't hear. It's not loud enough, man. I don't know how to like turn the volume. I went full on video. I don't know what's going on down here.
Apparently it's projecting.
Can you redirect video? Oh my goodness.
Looking at a screen, but they can't project it to the actual shared view.
Something's going on here.
Lazy bug.
We go there a lot.
The way you say,
Talking about a game.
Yeah, but your seat, but
I'm gonna go put an order in school.
I ate some food. Can you put a double order?
you're gonna have to do a big whistle.
No, I'll pay full price. Yeah, I'll give you the money.
Wow, and it's
No,
actually.
I want you to bring. I mean, come on, dude.
They might get pissy because it's Friday night if I put a second order in. Like, I don't like their
Just
time.
cool. I'm actually enjoying this, man.
I feel like I should have some.
Trying to figure out what's going on.
There you go.
What?
Dave,
Can't hear you.
All right, so all I had was this map, and I studied it from 2008 to 2012, and concocted a plan. So my plan was to just take the map, look at what was going on, and if you'll notice here, this is zero data. This is basically what you see up top when you walk up, and this is what all had collapsed right in here, which would shut off the cave. So this is what the vertical profile of it looks like, and you can see this when you get up there. You just can't see this anymore. This is the part, if you'll notice, it's the same shape as this, so it just fell and shut off this part of the cave to get in there, shut off the access, but you still got this.
God, never mind the lines out the door. Can't put any food order in.
Well, make fun.
I noticed that
Make a bump.
this
You
They don't
want
do
your
that.
seat back there? Like, go on, dude.
Part. This flowstone part here comes up, turns, comes up under that. I thought that if I could just dig my way from here to here, made perfect sense. We could get back into Lacey Pot. Just that's what I wanted to do, is just connect from that to that. If that's what's going on, you know, of course I have no idea. I have nobody telling me what things look like in the cave. I'm just going off of this map and hoping that it's correct, you know, or it's close. I took the scale from the bottom, turned it vertical, put it next to it just to see what kind of footage I was dealing with. You know, just, I mean, I got nothing here. I've got no idea of what I'm doing here, but it works. So, you know, 50 feet. So that's 25. I can go 25 feet.
This is a known cave they redug back open.
All right.
Hey, we're unmuted.
You'll be surprised at how accurate this was. You know, I think when we finally hit pay dirt, we were at 27 feet when we finally had a breakthrough. But it was still, it wasn't accurate, but it was accurate enough to get us in. So, this is an image I got from Lynn Guy, I think, from back in 80, something like that, 81. You'll notice over here, there's a rope tied and it's going into the cave. So all of this over here collapsed, basically. 4 years after, you know, ET had told me about it, we're finally starting to get some digging going on in 2012. Of course, you know, we're hauling buckets and shovels and crowbars and pry bars and everything we can get down there. He's got one of those big, what do they call a Jesus bar, you know, those big metal bars. So we haul a bunch of steel down there. It's hard getting off the top of the hill down to the cave. So we eventually found that better way, like I was saying earlier. But this is what it looked like when we first walked up on it. What's the other projector would work? This one seems to not have the same quality that on the picture. It's different.
It looks like winter.
We're working it out. Yeah, when we first got there, there was a 20-foot section of a tree that had broken off. It was right over the dig area. So we rigged up a 3-to-1 haul and pulled that guy out of the dig area so we could work. Much younger Dave. But here is where the rope is going in over here. So we're digging right here, you know, thinking we could get back in there, but that didn't last too long. We went down about 8 feet. Here's a picture of those, you know, 2012 to 81, I guess. You see some similarities in the rocks and stuff. That tree is still there. But, you know, it's open here, and over here we've got a massive piece of sandstone that has fallen and collapsed and shut everything down. And there's even a bigger one under the dirt when we finally start digging and getting down to it. 2012 digging. We're up under that bank of dirt trying to make something happen, but you can see over there on the other side of Alan's shoulder, there's a massive piece of sandstone over there, and it goes from like way down here to way out of sight and still covered up. It had to be part of the weight and what made the cave collapse. You see it over there. It's down here, and it's also still going up there past ET's head. And then later on, if y'all remember this rock, you know, I'm gonna get to some other slides. I'll show you another rock that we get to, and it's the one that we hit that basically crushed our spirits. A lot of sweaty post hole work, filling up buckets, and at this point, you know, we've only probably moved 5 feet of dirt. We're able to just pass these out of the cave, hand over fist, you know, get them up out of the cave and pass the bucket brigade style, getting it out of the pit. All right, so we hit a rock that basically crushed our spirits, and we had three digs up there, and after that, we didn't go back until 2017. And that's when Steve hit me up after I had to go up on stage at Tag and announce Sarah or something. And I come down off the stage. I couldn't see anything. The lights, of course, shine in your eyes. And I could hear somebody, it's like, in the distance, you know, I didn't recognize the person. I'd never met Steve, but he asked, Dave, you got a second? I'd like to talk to you about Lacey Pot. And I was like, oh, I was all ears because I'd love to get back up there and start digging, but you know, I just did. My crew had all, you know, kind of had their spirits crushed running into the sandstone boulders, so we didn't go back anymore for 5 years. But Steve hit me up. He said he wanted to start some project caving within the DCG, and you know, and asked if I minded if we kind of did a little joint effort to go back up there and start digging. And I was like, yeah, let's go, you know. And he got a few people and I got a few people. We went back that first day and we removed all of the dirt that we had taken out in 2012. All of it had washed back in. All 8 feet of it was back into the pit, but it was loose now. So we were able to get all 8 feet of it out in one day, which took 3 days in 2012. So we got all 8 feet of that dirt out that first day. And we're back to digging. But I did want to make a suggestion. You know, we had kind of hit a rock in 2012, and I didn't want to dig there again. I didn't want to run into that, so I shifted up into the pit a little bit more and got away. So that rock was right in here. I went over here and started digging. You can see this ground level. So this rock is maybe there's 2 feet of rock showing here between the topsoil, I guess, or what the stuff that's washing in. There's only about 2 feet of rock here, so pay attention to that. And I'll show you, you know, in a little bit. I'll point at that on some other slides. So now we're digging in a different spot and we're going down. We're not hitting any rocks. We're kind of in a different spot. Things are going good. Lee White come in a few times. He spent 2 days up there digging with us, you know, drilling and trying to help loosen up some things. And I stayed in there with him and watched how he worked, because I would pick up a few pointers from him, a few skills he had. I also had Troy Fuqua that was, you know, a mentor of mine, teaching me how to blast and move rocks. So between those two, that's how I learned how to blast and reduce rock. Bucket brigades. So you'll see these dates, you know, all these are just different dig dates. Every night I'd go home and write 3 pages. You know, I'd write 2 or 3 pages every night of the day's events. Of course, I don't know that it'll ever be useful for anything, but you know, anything that was funny that day or anything that happened, you know, or cars that broke down, I wrote about it every night when I got home. But we eventually started using the 4-wheeler trail, and we bring the 4-wheelers in every time so that we could haul all those, you know, crowbars and all that heavy stuff over there to the pit. We started driving 4-wheelers over. Of course, it's hunting season, but we never run into any hunters. We were kind of in an area right on the edge of the WMA property where we didn't run into any hunters. So see, we're starting to get down now. This is our line going in that we use to tie to the charges when we blow a rock up. So at 2 feet, you know, it's right in here, that 2 feet of rock I was telling you about where the dirt was. You can see we're already about 10 feet down in our digging. We've uncovered some slabs, but we're mainly just digging in clay, a lot of dirt, a lot of sticks, but occasionally we'll run into these big slabs that are about 8 inches thick. And who knows how deep it goes back into that dirt. We just got what we needed out of the way so we could keep going. And we were going at a pretty steady pace. You know, we were going every weekend, every other weekend. We had a Facebook group going so we could all communicate and talk amongst each other and keep the momentum up. I think with digs, you got to keep the momentum up. You can't really quit at any time. You just got to keep everybody excited. All right.
Now, see that mound of dirt right here? That's what used to be down there. I mean, that seems like, I mean, the rest of the rocks are in that pile right there. We don't take rocks before they're heavy. Yeah. That's right in the head. Both of them are kind of on the edge. Huh?
You think there's any chance rain could? Nah, the rain will go that way. The slope, it'll go that way. The rocks we have to worry about. The dirt, you're correct in thinking that. But if you move the leaves, it slopes away. It won't go more back. Okay. Yeah. You're Daniel. You're out. Hey, Daniel. We're all recording. Are you gonna stay right there? You gonna try to stand there? I can't see it. You can't see it? No. Okay. Sure. I'm blocked by that huge overhang right there. Okay. So if anything will go over me or go this way. Yeah, just keep your I'll keep my face down over your eye. Yeah. You can lose a tooth, you just don't want to lose an eye. Put on your safety squints. I just don't want to hurt my camera. Where's the I know.
That rock
Give
is
me like a
probably
3, 2,
about
1 thing.
what you see is about 3 feet by 2 feet and 8 inches thick.
3, 2, 1. That was a good one. There's no rock there. That was a great one. That was rock almost slammed into your camera for us. That rock right there. It's gone. Not all of it going off. This rock once right it goes off, it's almost
Yeah, it's gone.
Can we get down there now?
Yeah, we go. Let's go clean it up.
Okay.
Yeah, we know when.
Yeah, you got do like 3, 2, 1, and then pull. Hold on. Three, 2, 1.
You have a lot of small rocks. It sounds like a lot of big rocks. Yep. Yeah, that's what we feel. Oh boy. We're all running. My camera is unharmed. How about yours?
Unharmed.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. All right, so that's fun, you know, if you could blast something every day before you go home, it keeps everybody's spirits up. You know, some days we pop a rock even though we didn't need to pop a rock, just to keep everybody excited so that they want to come back the next time, you know. So if you'll notice his face right here, he's not too happy. He walked around in the woods all day looking for us because he brought his tablet. You know, we had his ACS stuff loaded on his tablet, but it only works with Wi-Fi. And so once he got to the woods, he didn't have any way of finding us. So that's what that face was all about. We're moving on down now. I mean, here's where probably up here is where we started. So now we're probably about 15, 16 feet down, I guess. We've had to put in a little catwalk because we've got to have a spot to put people now to catch a bucket. And then on up to this ledge and then on hand it out. But we're getting real close to having to do an English reeve and pull the buckets out by rope. You see there the bucket leaving by rope. The way that was, we just put a line between 2 trees, a pulley on that line, carabiner to another pulley, and then I had a guy uphill, and his one job was just once the bucket got up and got clear, he just let the bucket ride down the line like a trolley to the people on the ledge up there. We never dropped a bucket. We never tumped one. We never had a handle break. We always had fresh, brand new buckets. We keep in the working of this so that we didn't have any accidents. I mean, of course, anything could happen, but you know, we all kind of kept anytime a bucket was leaving, we'd keep our eyes open and so we didn't get hit by anything. See some of the system there up above us. We were getting close, you know, we were 20 something feet down and I knew we were getting close. So we started camping up there on Friday night so we could get an earlier start on digs. Had a few nights, 2 nights, I think, where we just drove in on Friday evening and camped and we would start digging 7 o'clock in the morning. We'd get breakfast and start digging at 7 and then other people would walk in around 10 and we'd have some stuff for them to do.
Did it ever rain hard while y'all were working on it?
Not really, but there were some rains, and I'll get to that in a second. We did have a good rain. This is at about 25 feet down, 27 feet down. I was digging that this day. We've been digging all morning. This is one of the nights we spent the night, and so me and Matthew, that's my brother. We've been in there all morning long. And about 11 o'clock, we came out to take a break, and we had just popped a rock, and Kyle and I think Amber's current boyfriend, they went in and was loading up some of the rocks, but they said they felt they said they heard something under their feet move, and so they come flying out of there. And I'm done with lunch. I'm ready to get back in anyway, so they come flying out of there. They thought the floor was going to fall on them because we could be potentially standing over a pit. And the moment they cleared the ladder, I was back in, and we went to digging feverishly for about another 45 minutes to an hour. We dug hard because they got me excited when they said they heard something move. And so we started digging in a clockwise pattern. And of course, I think the cave is going to show itself on this downhill wall because of the map. Jim Smith's map showed that passage coming back up under us on this wall here. So I'm always thinking what I'm going to find is going to be over here. And so I'm going in this clockwise motion, removing dirt and stuff. We're 27 feet down, and I'm digging in my shovel. I push it hard because you have to push hard through clay, and I push, and the shovel just shoots out of my hand. It's gone. You know, it's ding, 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 ding. It's a steel shovel, so there's a bunch of noise, you know, heading down a pit. And I was like, dang it, I lost my shovel. You know, I was upset. And I was like, dang it, I lost my shovel. You know? I was like, heck yeah. I mean, I was upset, but then I got happy, you know, real quick. But that was the hole that's the hole right there where it shot through and went down the pit. And we cleaned that up. I stuck a camera down there and just kind of shined down what we were looking at. Of course, it's just blackness down in here, so that, you know, we're in. We can start feeding things into the cave now.
I think she's going to take water a lot better than she used to, but you got to get the rocks. Yeah, we got to drill the rocks and let that rubble fall. Yes, sir.
Matthew said we need to get those 3 rocks out of there.
Mm-hmm. I can shoot some rocks.
Yeah, but I said, I think all that is just what they were saying on that old collapse. Because they were wedged in there holding all that dirt up.
Mm-hmm.
Let them fall down.
Well,
there's enough room down there for them to fall.
Is there, did we want Kyle in there to look first? I'm in, baby. Huh? Send Kyle in to look and make sure, well, we got another constriction on road.
Well, on road.
Oh, on road.
We basically dug a 5 foot by 5 foot shaft, I guess, you know, or 3 foot by 5 foot shaft, straight down, 27 feet.
No. I've seen dead squirrels in the bottom of that small face, man.
I want to know if
very, very dead and smelly squirrels.
Kyle, I want to know if that log will open up and break.
No, you good. Knock it out, bro.
This rope is really annoying. That's all I have to say.
Yo. Yeah. Yeah.
This is interesting.
What's the rocks look like?
What's rocks?
Like, what's the how are they packed in or just?
Yeah, it's like breakdown so far. Stop, don't lock stuff down.
Okay. Oh, there's rock. Freeze.
There's this.
Just freeze.
Oh. So I put the camera down, turned that off, and got the little 4 or 5 pound rock, you know, out of the, keep it from falling on Kyle. And we got down, you know, a few of us went down, and this was the first picture I took once I got in. Just a Troy looking out the light. All right, so once we got down up under us, we've got this nice chamber to stand in, you know. So this is the rock that we're basically standing on. It's 10 feet long, 5 feet wide, and about the shape of an arrowhead. This one's, you know, I was calling a cab rock or a Volkswagen, you know, type rock. It was the size of a Volkswagen to me, you know. So we needed to get rid of this guy and leave this guy alone and not touch it. But it was massive. So, but this is our route in, that little tight spot that you saw Kyle go in. But once we got down there, you know, we had a 10 foot tall room to stand in, and you could see the rocks above you. few happy faces after we got in. Went to she's sitting in the old historical entrance where the cave used to come in, where you used to come into the cave. Kyle's sitting over here on at the top of the 152, the first drop that's on the map.
That's definitely the 150, so. That's the bottom of it. Okay.
So over on the other side of the flowstone, there's other pits. So you can get 160, 170 foot rappel over on the other side. So we put some bolts over there too, but it wasn't the traditional rappel, I guess, for the map. But there's now bolts over there for that rappel. Happy face, smashed up buckets and ladders. We started pulling things out of there because now it's a pit. We're having to rappel in everything we do. Well, this is the part where we're basically getting rid of the arrowhead rock. This is when things really get excited. This is 3 shots. I had to take this in a merge and merge it together, but there's, up here is kind of where the dirt levels used to be. And you can tell because the rock where the dirt was really clean. So up in here is where all the, the exposed rock was and the mold and things. So this is your, they're way down there. So that's 27 feet down. So if you think back to that scale, I needed to go 25 feet to get in, and that's about where we landed. So.
Well, here we are at the end. They are standing on what stopped it all up. Try to get some of this one hole here. Rock right there at the end of the ladder. There's the arrowhead rock. It's about 10 feet long, 5 feet wide. That's a tough deal for anybody, It's a shooting situation all the way around. That's what's got everything, held everything up. So we're fixing to pop that and open this whole pit area here. Well, I'd like to be able to sit back from the edge a little bit. Huh? Are you ready? I'm ready. Yep. Go or no go? There. Go. Anybody? Any nays? Go. 3, 2, 1. Woo! That's the best sounding one I've been around. Did it come up and talk to you? Oh yeah. It made it nice. That rock's gone. But yeah, just the top of it. All right, so this should do it. Talk to me. Anybody no go? Go. 3, 2, 1. There's a bunch of stuff falling though. All right. Well, it got me closer. Wow. Got me. Ready to shoot. Talk to me. Fire. Fire. Firing in 3, 2, 1. Nothing even come out of the hole. So it's just we're down on a shard. I still didn't hear the big boom. Yeah. That rock is not falling yet. Back hole. The bottom of this thing this time. You ready? Go hot. Firing in 3, 2, 1. Good work, boys. Okay, so I'm gonna go cook some hamburgers. Y'all get it cleaned up. Shane, you're up. Clean that lip, Shane. I don't want anything to do with it.
Listen, here's the deal. Look at my angle, Dave. So I'm looking back.
Yeah.
And I just watched the rocks fall out of.
You talking about that cab rock fell?
No, I'm talking about under it. Mine.
So yeah, the cab rock fell. We didn't really want it to fall, but it did. And now It's made it kind of dangerous because all this really loose stuff and roots and dirt, everything we've been digging, all that stuff's exposed now. So, we didn't really want to go. It was kind of scary to go down there after this, but it eventually righted itself, so, but that's what you're looking at. So once we got in there, this is what I realized was going on with the map. The map was off by a quarter of a turn. That piece that I thought that I was going to encounter that would come in on this lower part here, it really was this guy. It was just the same shape of what we were digging in. It was blocked up, but the map, I don't know how things like, I don't know how that, can happen, but I would imagine working your way through all of this, it's just one of those things. But I always thought that I would come in here and this is what was really going on. I just needed to dig straight down and I'd have hit something anywhere we went down. We just would have had to clear those rocks. So I drew this after I realized the way things really look down there. There's what's left of that big arrowhead shaped rock. It's about half the size of what it was. This guy here, you can't even see it anymore. All the stuff that was up there fell on top of it. But there's a good opening over here. You get down into the cave. It's easy to get in there now. Everything is, the pit now is 60 feet deep. You got an entrance pit of 60 feet. A lot of big rocks down there. We had to clean off the lips once we got in to make it safe. Just some of that work, us working on those things. This is the first little 50-foot pit in the 150. There's a 152 that you encounter, and this is the first pit of it. When you come into that little area, you're going to land on about a 12-foot floor, and then it scoots on off and goes on down the other 100 foot. But there's a nice window up here that lets you look out into the big room at the big rocks that are over there in the ceiling area. So it's kind of cool as you're going in. Some of the big chambers that are down there. This is on the far tip where the waterfall is, where the water's coming into the cave, or one of the waterfalls. This is the room. Once you get in there, it's a massive room. Over there in the ceiling, there's a big dome over here, but you cannot, it's just almost impossible to get to it, but there's a dome there. It's over the top. It's over the top of the 192 or the 197. This is coming down the 152 into the cave. This is what it looks like. The ceiling, of course, right there. That window area is way up in there, or up in here. That window area. There's about a 12, 15 foot space between this ceiling and that thin membrane of limestone that's separating that pit from the main chamber. This is probably one of the first days when it was open that people were starting to show up to go in the cave.
All right, all I can say is wow. Where I'm standing now, I'm standing on this massive chunk of limestone that's where we used to rappel down. It is now fallen into the hole and blocked the, we can still get past it and it looks pretty solid, but it's holding back a world of rock. So here's what the pit looks like now. So that all of that undermined stuff is completely gone. Everything that used to be scary is now either in the hole or gone. And what you see over there is the other side. There's a big, massive piece of sandstone that's sticking down in the bottom. It obviously is a 30-foot long piece of sandstone because there's the top edge of it right there. And it goes almost all the way to the top. So the cave now, it looks like this. A lot bigger. Our once 7 feet wide shaft by 5 feet wide shaft now is 5 by 15 shaft. So Mother Nature
opened it on up for us in those 4-inch rains we had the other day. So, all right, I'm gonna go on down and check it out, see what it looks like under this rock, see how stable it's looking. So.
All right, so in 2012, that thing that we encountered was the top of this guy, and I remember digging one day all day long and trying to find an edge of it. And I couldn't find an edge of that thing anywhere. And that's what kind of demoralized the dig and shut us down, was the top edge of this guy, because you could slap it. You knew that this thing was big. When you hit it, it was not anything that we were going to move. And one of the reason I know it's 30 feet is when we first got into the cave, the tip end of that thing was sticking down into that room. So it was huge. It went almost from the top to the bottom area. It's so big, but it had to be part of what blocked and shut down the cave back in 83. So.
All right, all I can say is wow. Where I'm standing now, I'm standing on this massive.
Roy setting a few bolts. We end up taking that hanger out. It ended up not being necessary. We got rid of that. This is the bottom of Scared Well. It's got a nice haystack formation at the bottom. It's named Scared Well because the whole time you're down there, you've got clay and small pebbles and rocks falling on you the whole time, because about 80 feet from the floor here is a lip, and then it just turns into a scree slope for the remainder of the pit. The rest of it's about 120 feet of just a clay scree slope that your boots loosen things up, and while you're down there, things are kind of falling, and it's kind of alarming or scary, while that stuff's coming there. But it's nothing really ever big, but it's just, it doesn't feel good, you don't like it. But I think that's why they named it Scared Well. This is looking back up from the bottom of Scared Well, and there's that lip I'm talking about right in there above her. It's when it turns into that scree slope that goes up to the top. So this is that dome I was telling you about. Here, kind of see it there. It's a big, it's just blackness. I don't have a light that even gets close to shining up into the top of that thing. It has to go all the way to the surface, and it's right over the 197. So if you could find a way into that dome from topside, you'd have almost a 400-foot rappel into this cave system. But now on this ledge, I've noticed since we've started going back, there's bats everywhere. I mean, there's bats flying around in there and in the main chamber, and it's weird because it's like a summertime pattern. It's like when you see bats out in the summertime and they're like feeding and stuff. It's what they were doing, is that their activity kind of mimicked they were feeding. And I didn't really catch on to it until I was rigging one day up at the 197 and a mosquito landed on me. And so there's a whole lot more life in there. When we first got in there, there was no salamanders, crickets, nothing. But now there's a whole bunch of life. Like, you can walk around and there's bats up under rocks on the floor now. They're not even hanging on the ceiling. They're on the floor hanging around. It's just, it's turned into a great habitat for them. I mean, somebody ought to do a study on what's in there. But one thing here is this ledge is black now. It wasn't black, but it's turning black. So every time I go, this ledge is getting darker. So I think something's living up in the top of this thing. And I don't think it's leaves, but it's guano. Yeah, it's guano. But I'm not gonna say it's guano. It's one of those things. I don't want anybody shutting it down because of it being a certain thing. But I'm noticing, because of the amount of bats in there, it's turned into a new habitat for them. And they seem to love it. So that's all I got.
Woo! Questions? Go ahead.
I'm sorry if this is like a dumb, new person question. Who gets to make the call on hey, we're gonna open this up?
Yeah. It's on WMA property. And it's right on the edge of WMA and private property. So we're not really messing with anybody because of I don't know what all the rules are. It's just one of those things. Let's get in there and get it open and get out kind of thing. You know, I don't know what all the rules are on the WMA. Somebody else can probably answer that better.
But that must have been so cool to watch it. Stuff like that.
Hey,
Yeah.
we went to Lake's spot. First, that was the most fast I've ever seen in a cave.
I know.
And two, there's that drop. When you first enter the first drop,
Yeah.
and before you go down to that main drop, there's that little side passage with bolts set right there too. Is that?
That's
So
the,
it leads
that's
into
the
the
160.
same room, right?
Same room. It just gives you a more free, longer drop.
Really?
Yeah. So if you want a free drop that's not broken, I go down the 150 because it gives me a 50-footer to get off on and relax. So I'd
Which
like to.
one we do?
I like.
We do the 160, I think. There's no ledges.
Really?
We did the free hang all the way down.
Well, what's so the other one is the one with the 50, and then the one that's higher. There's a bolt. There's bolts there, and that little drop passage when you get
We
down.
did the one with the spire.
I just put mine
There's like a spire.
We're in that room where all the bats sit.
Yeah. Well, when you first land there at the flow stone, it goes both ways. So the
Yeah.
152 is off to your right. If you're walking into that room, the 152 is on the right. The 160 or 170,
Okay,
I've not
yeah, we
measured
did
it.
the 160.
It's on the left over there.
Okay, so the 150 is where I had to stay warm. I remember.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for coming. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And that was a group effort. That was
Yeah.
a lot of work weekends between DCG and Birmingham. That was a good project for us, and it was fulfilling, and it was always fun, and I really enjoyed it. Made good friendships with a lot of people up there digging, so it was a great time.
I want to see some blasting now.
What's that? Oh yeah, yeah, you go.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wide open. It will never close again.
That was a fun cave.
What's the first drop? Like, what's the depth of it and everything?
60, 160, 200.
Nice. Oh man, I'd like
Yeah, they're good.
Well worth opening back up.
Yes. Thank you for your work.
Yeah, that's right. It all started on a Yellowstone trip. I'd never even heard of Lazy Pot.
All right, Matt Sewell, was that your Jeep that kept the projector running?
Yes.
Thank you, Matt.
You have the chair's thank for pulling his iron out of the fire.
Not the man.
All right, the chair motions to adjourn.
Hey, this is Andy. Real quick.
Go ahead.
We got here late, but
Oh, hi, Andy.
if anybody didn't make it to the Tag Fall Cave-In, I brought a bunch of the guidebooks. There's extras. So
They got.
Yeah,
I'd like to have one, Andy. I lost mine.
I have some from the previous. So I'll bring them over.
All right, chair motions to adjourn. All right, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody online for attending. This is the end of the meeting. Have a great evening.